What is up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking a bit about the 4 big things to look for when purchasing a whitetail property. So this past year we've purchased 2 farms. We're trying to close on one in April, and I spent a lot of time researching and deciding what I want to look for in a farm. So we own over 900 acres right now. Every farm that we own is different. They all have different qualities. Some are better than others. Some produce more. A lot of it comes down to these 4 reasons that I have, and why I purchased these properties and what made them desirable to me. Getting right into it, we're going to go with number 1. So basically, you got to figure out a good area or neighborhood, and it has to line up with your goals, right? As a hunter or a landowner, you want to figure out what you want with that property. Do you want to shoot a 3-year-old every year? Do you want to shoot a 4 or 5-year-old every year? 170 plus inches every year or so. You have to have realistic goals and realistic expectations. I know on one of our farms up in northern Wisconsin, it's 550 acres, so it's a really large piece, but in all reality, we don't shoot 150, 160 inch deer off of it. It's just not realistic. Even with the size of the property, we have realistic expectations, which are 4.5-year-old deer, sometimes 3.5, which usually are in that 140 class, maybe into the 150s sometimes, depending. So once you have dialed in an area that you want to hunt, then you can kind of decide what do you want as a landowner. Do you want a property that has income from tillable? Do you want a property that has mostly wooded? The opportunities to choose what you want are pretty much endless, and that's when it gets hard choosing. And that's why this is the biggest thing is deciding what you want as a landowner and hunter. So with my farms that I look for now, I like a property that usually has 75 wooded to 25 tillable. That's just kind of tip of the iceberg stuff. I can dig into it more, but basically that usually seems to be a real good number right around there. So once you have that figured out, then you can, like I said, find the right area or neighborhood, and you can do that by looking at record books, going to local bars, talking to locals in an area, trying to figure out where the best or biggest bucks have came from. That's one thing that I've really liked to do. Just by doing that, you can figure out real quickly which areas produce larger deer. And sometimes in order to do that, you have to sacrifice drive time, right? I only get to hunt weekends mostly, and then days that I take off. 2 new farms that we bought this past year, they're 3.5 hours away from me in western Wisconsin. So the drive time is a big key, but if you plan your hunts and weekends out, that it doesn't really matter. So once you have the number 1 figured out, so that's area or neighborhood, and then what do you want as an owner, all fits into the same thing. Then you look at access. Access is a huge key. When looking at the farms that we purchased, I wanted southern access and I wanted eastern access. Both farms had that. One of them had northern access and western. It was a perfect layout for one of the farms. The other one, it's only 140 acres. So the layout was basically from the southwest corner. But from that corner, I could get anywhere on the property that I wanted to very easily without having to spook it out. You want to figure out what wind is predominant in your location and kind of base off your access from that. I'd try to stay away from westerly access or northern access. Those tend not to be the greatest, just because with a western or northern wind, you're kind of crop dusting your whole property and blowing it out if you do not hunt it right. So number 3, when I was looking for properties, this is the big thing. Is it a blank slate or is it all ready to go? You got to decide as a landowner is what do you have the time to do, or what are you capable of doing? Do you have the equipment to set up new food plots, to design it out, to plant food plots, to do a lot of the stuff that's necessary to shoot big bucks consistently? If you don't want to do any of that, which a lot of people don't want to do, right? You can buy a property that's been designed out really well by a lot of people. There's plenty of people out there that sell ready to hunt properties, and they're pretty easy to find. I like to look for the blank slates. I mean, those are ones that you can easily turn profit off of if you decide to sell in the future. I mean, buy cheaper, shoot a couple big bucks off of it, design it out, add food plots. Then it becomes really desirable to the next guy, right? Because it's all ready to go. And if you don't have an idea on what you're doing, I'd recommend getting a habitat consultant in. I do it myself, so if you want to reach out, you can. Getting a habitat consultant in is a great thing because you don't want to ruin your property, right? You want to do the right things and make it better than when you first got it. The last thing that I looked for when buying a property was what makes it stand out. If your property is a cookie cutter 40 and a big wood block and it's also fully wooded, there's nothing that makes it different than any other property around there, right? So you gotta either make it different or just look elsewhere at different properties. When I was looking at mine, there's a lot of things that I looked for right off the bat. One of the things was it had a full-on orchard on the north 60. An apple orchard. It had plum trees as well. That was a big thing. And a lot of apple trees. It probably had 150 apple trees just on that north side and probably 40 or 50 on the south side scattered. But a lot of farms in that area did not have apple trees or fruit trees. So that was super attractive to me when I looked at the property because those really do take time and a lot of effort into planting. So that was one thing I could cross off right away. The second thing when you're looking at what makes it stand out is water. I mean, if you have a flowing water source on your property, that will help keep deer on your property all year long. Obviously, you can look at timber. I mean, if you've got a stand of oaks in an area where there's not many oaks, that's going to be a great thing. If your property has been logged off 10 years ago and it's super thick, that could be a great thing as well if you're in a fully wooded area. Just all the little things that will help your property stand out really do matter when you're trying to grow big deer. Native grasses, switchgrass plantings, food plots, all that, etc., will really be desirable to deer in your area, and especially mature bucks, right? So those are my 4 big factors when buying a property. Obviously, there's a ton of others. This is assuming you've already got a loan out and you can afford what you're going to buy. But these are the big key factors when I look at farms to buy that I look at. And just another tip, look at all your areas on onX. Look at the names of all the neighbors. Go through the record books. Look up on Facebook and kind of stalk them. Sounds weird, but all that will be beneficial to you in the end when you know what your neighbors are shooting. If they're shooting the first yearling or 2.5 that walks out, you might not want to buy that farm if you're wanting to shoot 4.5-year-old deer. Make sure to like and subscribe. I've got plenty of more videos coming out in the future. I got some big things coming with my habitat consultation, and make sure to reach out to me if you want any consultation help or anything like that. But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and catch you on the next video.